Alright, hello and welcome to something a little different than what I usually do. If you've, been around for a while, you probably saw the last video and know why I'm trying something different, but if not, whatever. We don't need to go into that right now. So this is just gonna be a little comedy vloggy kind of thing, like the generic hipster, trash, whatever. I look like whatever I am. I get called a lot of mean names. But anyway, all this, my usual terrible intros aside, let's go ahead and actually get into something of vaguely some substance here. So I'm definitely not what you'd call a people person. I like to basically sit around by myself and do nothing. I find that more relaxing than being with people. Honestly, I like being around people, but just not as much. So whenever I've been looking for jobs for the past, however many years, just something to do. Over the summer, I worked at a few bigger chain, not like a grocery store kind of things, basically. Won't name any names there, we'll keep that out of the mix. But so I was hoping that I could just work there and basically just put cans on shelves. I just wanted to stock shelves, and that was my joke, is like if I applied, I'd be like, hey, I just want to put cans on shelves. So I applied to these places. You just kind of apply generically. You can put like a preference, but they can kind of stick you wherever. But instead of actually ending up working at these places, just stocking shelves, the very socially inactive thing that I wanted to do, I ended up working at two coffee places. Let's just call it, make up a name here, Shartbucks. That doesn't sound like anything real. So basically what happened is the first year that I went to apply to one of these places just to put some cans on shelves, I basically rolled up and said, hey, it'd be great if I could put some cans on shelves, and they said no, but we have a Shartbucks. But at that point it was already getting pretty late into the year and I just needed to make some money before school and things started again, so I went ahead and worked a summer at this Shartbucks. So fast forward a year when I'm looking for somewhere else, and I do the same exact thing. I applied to basically the counterpart of one of these stores. It's essentially the same kind of thing, and I rock up and say, hey guys, look, it'd be great if I could put some cans on shelves. And once again, they said, we have a Shartbucks. So that's what happened at 2 consecutive years. But anyway, let's go ahead and jump into some of the interesting stuff from the first time I worked at one. Now this is basically just going to be a run through of the first few days because some interesting stuff happened in those days. So let's go ahead and start with day 1. So before day 1, I actually showed up for an interview, but there was no training or anything on that. I just basically showed up. We answered the standard questions that everyone hates. Fuck those questions. And they said, welcome aboard, come this day wearing this, and we'll basically start you off. So I essentially showed up on day 1 with no training or no knowledge of what I'd be doing whatsoever, and that didn't get much better. So my first few minutes of this new glorious job went something like this. Hey, I'm the new guy, so what do you want me to do? Here, do this. So day 1, I showed up, no training, no experience, no nothing, and put some stickers on some boxes. So after throwing some stickers onto boxes for, an hour or 2, however long I was at that, doing that wonderful job, I finally got behind the counter and actually got to start working on things there, which with no training went just about as well as you thought it would. So the first thing I ever actually made there, again, we won't even name a type of drink, we'll just call it a Crappuccino. That's not like an existing drink or anything. I'm pretty sure that's a safe one to use. But yes, I started on these Crappuccinos, we'll call them. It's good. We're going. So they have, whenever you actually get back there, whenever you're making them, they have nice stickers on the counter, so you can actually see like what to do. They have steps on them. They're laid out very nicely, and they just have like the right amount of info on them. You can see like double check them, see if you forgot anything. It's actually pretty good for beginners. However, if you're like me and completely incompetent and pretty much useless, and get nervous extremely easily and then mess things up from there, and keep messing things up once you've messed them up, it looks less like a nicely neat laid out diagram and more like the flowchart of your life, and just vaguely descending in random paths and craters and everything, just into nothing. Just vaguely nothing. Wait a minute. Who drew a knob on here? But obviously, eventually, like you do with anything, I got the hang of it, except I'm pretty sure that for the first at least 20 drinks I handed out, I forgot the base, which is the thing that actually makes it taste good. Like, not even exaggerating there, you put like chocolate and things in them. But without the base, it's not sweet at all. It's very extremely bitter and just kind of tastes like ice with some shit thrown in it. And I'm pretty sure I forgot that for about the first 20 drinks because I went to make myself one when I was going on break, and it tasted awful, and I was wondering why, and it also doesn't get smooth if you don't put it in. And I got back, I'm like, oh, I left out the thing they actually need to be Crappuccino. So, I wasn't very good at my job, you could say. And things continued on like that for a couple of days there until we got to, I believe it was day 3. This is where I eventually had to finally move on to the register. For about 2 days there, I was avoiding the cash register like it was the plague. I did not want to go near that. I'm awful with people. You know, that's the one thing I didn't want to have to do in this job. That's the one thing I wanted to avoid. And now it was staring me in the face because essentially I had been avoiding it with anything like, oh, I'm not comfortable with it, this and that, just straight up telling them. And eventually it gets to a point where they're fed up of your bullshit and you have to do it. Now, after doing it for, like 2 years now, it's not as bad as, you originally expect it to be. But it's still never quite enjoyable because, we have the customers always right mentality, so people expect this, and when you can't provide it, they get mad at the person directly in front of them. And sometimes just even dealing with people in general is a little bit too much. So on the outside, usually if you have anxiety and such, on the outside you don't let it show, you just kind of hide it deep down inside, so eventually it comes out and kills you early one day. But on the outside, I looked fine, so they probably thought I was doing alright. But on the inside, I was freaking out like I was just heading into a final and hadn't studied at all. Which, speaking of, I should probably stop doing this and study for some finals. Now, when you're not good with people and have social anxiety and things like that, just being on the register is enough. But you actually have to do much more than just that. It's not just, oh hey, what's up, here's a fucking drink, get out of my face. There's a lot of other things you have to do as well, especially if it gets busy. It's also handing people pastries, putting sandwiches in and out of the oven and just dealing with those. Different ways that people pay, so you have to press certain buttons for this and that, taking out the garbage, getting the phone, things like that. And it all piles up rather quickly, especially when you have no idea what you're doing like I do in essentially everything. So as I've already said, it would be a pretty safe assumption to say I wasn't very good at my job, especially starting off. I stayed pretty shit at it for a pretty long time. But things just pretty much progressed from there, every day, waking up, not wanting to work this late shift, not wanting to go deal with people, just gradually progressing more and more days until eventually I am where I am now, just dead on the inside and generally hating everything. So, safe to say, it was going pretty well, usual job. But anyway, that's probably enough for now because I do want to try to space this out into a few different episodes, different parts, things like that. I don't know why I said things like that. I could have just said different parts. That's enough explaining. I'm bad at explaining things. But anyway, you probably won't even see this because actually while recording this, it doesn't sound funny at all. So I think I need to spice it up a little bit. But there definitely are more stories to come. There's some spicier ones waiting. So the general stuff people always say at the end of these that you're like almost contractually obligated to say, it feels like. Links in the description to Twitter, Discord, Patreon, things like that, especially the Patreon. Please, I'm broke as shit. But anyway, thank you for watching, and I'll see you later.